Hi. According to moneywise.com, they did a poll of the 20th professions that Americans consider to be the sleaziest jobs based on honesty and ethics. And where do you think real estate fell? Now, I just had you read through the list of that 20, and I'll be honest, I was surprised to see as many medical type professions on that list. I assumed that they were a little bit more trusted than they were. There were a few on there that were no surprise to me at all, such as members of Congress and telemarketers. But here's the deal, guys. We made the list as real estate agents, and you might be thinking on a list of 20, we were right in the middle. Not too bad. No, we made the list. And why did we make the list? I have a feeling it's because of our own doing and our own actions. The following are 10 things that agents, a group of agents were polled, and they were asked anonymously, is this okay or is this not okay? And here's what I want you to think about. Is this okay to do or not? So here are some of the next ones. This next list is, again, 10 things that agents were asked, is this ethical to do or not? Ethical dilemma number 1 was the listing agent tells the buyer that there are other buyers interested or other offers pending on the property when there are not. Has anyone ever had this happen to them? Has anyone ever done this? I would put this in the unethical. First of all, you should only be disclosing multiple offers with your seller's permission. And a seller should not always disclose multiple offers. There are times where it makes sense, and there are times that it does not make sense. But at the end of the day, you've got to do whatever your seller tells you to do. But is it fair to make that up in an effort to either deter a buyer that you maybe don't like their agent very much when they call about the listing? You say this just to try to maybe get them disinterested in writing so that they're not, maybe they don't want to be competitive? Or are you saying that because you think you're trying to help the seller run that price up? This not only is unethical, but it could come back to bite you in the booty. Because if you tell someone that there's other offers and there's not, and their buyer decides not to write an offer because they don't want to compete, you're still left with then 0 offers. So it didn't really do you any good. And if you think your sellers are not going to find out about these things on this list, I think you're hysterically wrong. This is Iowa, #Iowa nice. And it is like a one big cocktail party here, right? I joke about the Des Moines area being a cocktail party. There's no 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There's maybe 2. It's like that all through Iowa, right? We all know somebody that knows somebody. And if you think that somebody isn't going to trip you up over a conversation at the Hy-Vee checkout, I think you're crazy. This one is absolutely on my unethical list. Ethical dilemma number 2. An agent or broker makes vague or unsubstantiated claims about market share. For example, that they're a top agent or a #1 agent. I'll just tell you from personal experience, I sat next to this agent one time. Really great at lead generating. But every call was, now you'll want to work with me because I'm the #1 agent at XYZ brokerage. You'll want to work with me because I'm the #1 agent at XYZ brokerage. Not knowing this agent very well, but also knowing she'd only been in the license for 3 months, I went to my broker and I said, hey, this agent's using this script over and over and over and over. What is she the #1 agent at? And the broker said back to me, tongue in cheek, she's the #1 agent at saying she's the #1 agent. I don't know whether she was the #1 agent in volume the previous month. I'm not sure what was happening there. To me, that is unethical if you can't substantiate where your data is. I know of an agent a couple of years ago that put #1 agent on the northwest side of town, whatever location it was where they lived, and put that on their branding and on their signs. And the board was filled with complaints And what the agent did is went back and actually put the data, number one agent on this side of town, based on data from such and such MLS for dates, June through June of whatever years. So put the source there in small letters it was, but if you're going to make those remarks, make sure that you got something to back up. And if you want to boast that you're the number one agent in your office for that month, that week, that day, I'm not above that, but maybe have some clarity around it. Ethical dilemma number 3. The buyer's agent does not want to show homes with lower than typical cooperating compensation offered by the listing broker. Is this tempting? Yes. Do we try to tempt agents by offering a selling bonus? If it's sold by November 1st, there's a $2,000 bonus from the seller. So I get that we're looking at that and we're using it as a promotion. Yet this is technically unethical. If a buyer wants to see a property, you show that buyer the property. You cannot eliminate just based on the commission that is being paid out. Now, I think we all know in the back of our heads, we wonder, is this commission a leading indicator of something else? Was that agent lazy? Is this seller in a financial crisis? Yes, I get where your brain goes. Yet to not show the house and deny the buyer an opportunity, that's what makes it unethical. We've got to put their interests above our own. Ethical dilemma number 4. The buyer's agent does not show homes listed by certain brokerages based on reputation or past experiences. I get that this one is common too. I get that some of you, when you see a showing request by a certain brokerage, you roll your eyes. I do get it. I do. Yet at the end of the day, what is this about? Just like with the commissions, it's about putting our client's best interests above our own. So it may be listed with another brokerage, but that doesn't mean that we should show it because of that brokerage. Now, if that brokerage makes it difficult for you to show or denies your showing, that's a whole different ball of wax in terms of ethics and the law. But denying your buyer the opportunity, and again, this could come back and bite you in the booty because they may just go find another agent who is willing to show them these properties with these brokerages, or again, at that compromised commission level. And I don't care what the percentage is of $0, that's $0 in commissions, right? Ethical dilemma number 5. The buyer's agent shows their own listings, their company's listings, preferably to buyers. Now, I don't have a huge issue on the surface with this one, that you maybe want to promote your listings first or those of your company. But when I started asking this question to a group of agents in a live classroom, I actually learned more about this one than I was expecting. I had a lot of agents, and I have over the years, give me feedback on this one specifically, that said, I fell victim to this when I lived maybe in a different community, in a different state. I had one agent tell me that when she lived in California with her husband and they were purchasing a property, that this happened. Well, I assumed that followed by this comment, it meant that they also, though, still showed them houses of other brokerages. And they said, no, they only showed their own or their companies. And here's the kicker. They showed them homes that were $200,000 more than their budget or what they were pre-approved for. To me, that makes no sense. First of all, we've got to put our clients' interests above our own. But what good does it do you to show houses to someone who's not qualified to buy them? To me, that's counterintuitive. But I've been shocked over the years, the number of times I get this as feedback as being something that has happened. Ethical dilemma number 6. The buyer's agent does not show for sale by owner homes, or buyer's agent refuses to represent client in the purchase of a for sale by owner home. I get it. I get this one too. As agents, We know that sometimes working with someone that doesn't know the process as well as we do seems like a huge burden. And it seems like for the commission that we are going to be earning, our dollar per hour is going to be depleted because we are naturally going to need to do a little corrective steering in the process because we're working with two clients that don't know the process, and you really are the anchor of the ship. You don't have a co-pilot with a listing agent. So I get the initial feeling, but I've got to go back to the term again. We've got to put our clients' interests above our own. Now, here's what solves this conversation, whether you want to listen to me or not, is doing a buyer consultation and talking about exclusive buyer representation. If anything, in a buyer consultation, I'm going to recommend talk about the money. I think sometimes we avoid it because we're uncomfortable. And then it comes back in, again, I'm on the kick of saying the phrase, bites you in the booty this afternoon. It happens. It happens. Let your buyers know that the properties on the MLS, those commissions are pre-negotiated. Anything outside of it, let them know the commission that you intend to negotiate on their behalf. We have buyers that can pay us and some that are happy to pay us. I've had buyers that knew that there wasn't commission involved and wanted to make sure I was protected and made sure that we all had an understanding proactively. That doesn't happen very often, right? So make sure when you're doing these consultations, let your clients know. In an MLS situation, those are already pre-negotiated. Don't worry about those. If we find something above and beyond, this is what I intend to negotiate on your behalf. Does that work? Right? And make sure that that's all understood. Ethical dilemma number 7. A listing agent accepts a listing with an unrealistic asking price for the marketing opportunity and the availability to prospect for new clients. Okay, let's unpack this one. This is different than overpricing a property based on data because that's really what you thought the data showed. Have you ever overpriced a property in your career? Yes, I have as well. I thought the data was there. I thought I had done a wonderful comparative market analysis, and either we had a market shift somewhere in there and things slowed down, or maybe the improvements, how the seller and I perceive them is not how the buyers perceived them. Maybe it was the layout of the yard, or an upgrade, a finish in the main area. They picked out just a wonky tile color and it's installed beautifully. That's maybe a wonky color. So sometimes our data is wrong. This is specifically going after and giving an increase just so that you give the highest price when maybe you know you're competing against 1 or 2, 3 other agents for the listing, and your way of winning it is just to take it by the highest price. Then you figure you'll just whittle them down with price reductions later. No. People don't like that, first of all. But does it put the client's best interests above your own? If you're doing this for just marketing opportunity, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's where that phrase comes in as adults. You better be careful. You're putting your interests above your own when you do something like that. And imagine how a seller would feel when you do that initial seller's estimate of proceeds and they're getting $100,000 when in reality, you know that they're only going to get 65. Because they're trying to base their next move maybe on that equity and what they have for a down payment on their next property. So it harms them now, but it could harm them in their next move as well. Unethical to me, that is a huge cautionary no. Ethical dilemma number 8. An agent represents both the buyer and the seller in the same real estate transaction. This is called dual agency, and it is legal as long as it's disclosed. Both parties need to know and have the option whether to opt in or opt out from that. So again, if dual agency does not have to be a big deal. Talk about it with your sellers when you list the property. Understand those intentions. You will have some sellers that say no. We just want you to represent us and only us. And on the other hand, you may have some buyers that select that as well, but have those conversations up front. You'll be less likely to want to skate it through in the just sign here but don't read it category when you're doing paperwork, because you've already gotten the listing and written an offer. Now it's too late. You don't know how to do it. Talk about it with the consult and your listing presentations, that it's an option, and at least know their intentions. Okay. Number 9, listing agent verbally indicates an offer coming in is really low. Got a really low offer coming in hopes that the seller will be pleasantly surprised when they see the actual offer. Now, I never even knew that this one was an option until I read this article, and it must be. Let's say, I assume this scenario is when we've got a listing at 200. We maybe have an offer that comes in at 185. And we say it's really, 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 really low. And sending a message to the sellers that the offer is at 150. Right? Subliminally letting them know. And then when it comes in at 185, they're like, oh gosh, this isn't as bad as we thought. Doing that in an effort just to get them to accept it so that you can get a deal together and get a commission check, because you've got a trip to the Bahamas coming up in 30 days and you'd like to have a fresh new commission check to put in your account before you go on vacay. No. Again, it's about putting the client's best interests above your own. Remember who you're representing. You're on their team. Number 10, this is our last one. Agent refers a client to another agent without the knowledge of their quality of service or value and does not disclose to the consumer the referral fee that the referring agent will receive. This really deals around when you're referring clients, to another agent outside of your market. Maybe you got some buyers that are moving to Bethesda, Maryland, and you want to find an agent there to help them out. How are you selecting that person? This is important. If you're going to be doing a referral fee, please do your due diligence and understand how you're hiring this one. Just because they have a membership or a designation or a certification from a certain program, and they vary over the years. We've had sweat hogs in town, and then it's something else, and then it's something top produced, whatever those programs are. Just because someone graduated from it doesn't mean that they do any deals. And I'm not saying that you've always got to refer to the top producers in the market. Those by no means I think that that's an indicator of them being the best agent. But do interview for someone that is a match for your clients. Maybe it's based on personality. Maybe it's based on location. Maybe it is based on volume or designation, but have that be a plan with your clients that you're referring. And then make sure that you interview those folks, have an understanding whether they have time for an out-of-state client before you just randomly pick someone from the real estate yellow pages. Now, of this list, I gave you 10 things that we ran through here really quickly. I said no to all of them. And I assume some of you, as we were going through them, were waving at your screens saying, no, don't do that. But you also agreed that it was an unethical move. Here's the thing. The data on all 10 of these items, at least 95% of agents said that they were okay. Now, what that says to me, if when they were polled, they said 95% were okay, that meant they were honest because they knew they could get by with it. Which means in a classroom setting, they may be saying, no, I never do that. But behind the scenes, they maybe are. A lot more agents thought this list of 10 items was okay than I ever thought possible. So do think through these scenarios. And I think the number one theme and takeaway is what is in the best interest of your clients, and communicate the plan and expectations with your client. And I think that when it comes to ethical dilemmas, you all will be sitting and be golden.